4 begins on a beautiful day in Wichita, Kansas. In the first game of the entire 1994 NCAA Basketball Championship, the Maryland Terrapins take on the Saint Louis Billikens. This is a first-round game in the Midwest region. The winner meets the winner of the battle between Massachusetts and Southwest Texas State. In tonight's doubleheader, Michigan takes on Pepperdine and Texas plays Western Kentucky. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough, and it's great to have you with us for the first meeting ever between Maryland and St. Louis, two schools that have waited quite a while to return to the NCAA Tournament. St. Louis hasn't been here in 37 years, while Maryland appears for the first time since 1988. That's the longest absence of any ACC team. I'm joined by Derek Dickey. Derek, Maryland's return to prominence led by the National Freshman of the Year, Joe Smith.
Well, Joe Smith is a terrific athlete, Sean. He has the ability to block shots. Great defender, rebounds the ball well, but what I like about him is that he can put the ball on the floor, take it to the basket, and finish plays. But defensively, he likes to play cat and mouse. He stays back in the back, waits for the shot to go up, and can swat it from anywhere.
Smith led all freshmen in the country in points and rebounds. He's averaging a double-double for the season. What a great turnaround story is St. Louis. 2 years ago, 5-23. This year, 23-5, led by Erwin Claggett.
Erwin Claggett led this team in three-point shooting. Excellent shooter from the perimeter. Likes to catch the ball off the pass. Can shoot it from anywhere.
We'll have the first game of the NCAA Tournament from Wichita, Kansas, right after this.
CBS Sports' exclusive coverage of the first round of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by the new Chevy S-Series, O'Doul's, and by Michelin.
In order to make sure the interior of our new Chevy S-Series would fit a wide range of people, I designed the seats.
And I designed the interior to give it more room than it's ever had before.
And both of us are very comfortable with that arrangement.
The 94 Chevy S-Series. So new from the inside out. Everything else is history.
The Gulf of Mexico, where world-class fishermen like Jim come to battle the big boys.
Jim, you got one.
Yeah, hey, this calls for a celebration. How about a cold O'Doul?
Thanks.
Only 70 calories and not alcohol. Because out here, you never know what's biting.
When you want the refreshing taste of beer without all the alcohol, think O'Doul's. It's what beer drinkers drink when they're not drinking beer.
How come your cold symptoms come back? Your pill doesn't last 24 hours. Epidac 24 does. Most cold pills last 6 hours, the rest 12. But one Epidac gives consistent relief 24 hours.
24-hour Epidac.
Keeps cold symptoms from coming back.
Imagine an antiperspirant that keeps a man feeling as fresh as this. It's Ban for Men Clear Antiperspirant. Ban for Men sets up a clear shield against wetness and odor. So feel this fresh with Ban for Men Clear Antiperspirant.
They were four sisters unable to live normal lives.
I'm starting to remember things in my childhood.
Their only hope for sanity
You're talking about publicly suing Dad.
was to face their shocking past. Starring Marlo Thomas, Mel Harris, and Ali Sheedy.
This is about holding our father accountable for what he did.
Ultimate betrayal, someday. Parental discretion advised.
Welcome to Accent on Movies with Julio and Audio. And you're going to love the movies that's coming up this week on CBS. Monday night, Clint Eastman in Sudden Impact.
Make my day.
Then Tuesday, Stephen Livingston Seagull is kicking as usual the bad guys in March for Day. It contains some violent scenes. Well, it goes without saying. Monday and Tuesday on CBS.
Welcome back to Kansas Coliseum. Site of first-round action in the Midwest region between Maryland and St. Louis. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for Maryland. Exree Hipp, Keith Booth, Joe Smith, Johnny Rhodes, and Dwayne Simpkins. For St. Louis, Scott Highmark, Donnie Dobbs, Evan Peterson, H. Waldman, and Erwin Claggett. The officials are Gerald Boudreau, John Cal, and Milt Stowe. The Maryland coach is Gary Williams. In his 5th year as head coach of his alma mater. And in the tournament for the first time with the Terrapins. After 16-11 season, they finished 8-8 in the ACC, tied for 4th. with Virginia. Charlie Spoonhour on Tuesday named the National Coach of the Year by the United States Basketball Writers Association. 12-17 last year in his first season at St. Louis. 23-5 this year. Second in the Great Midwest behind Marquette. The Billikens are here for the first time in 37 years, and later we'll unveil the mystery of just what a Billiken is. St. Louis dressed in white, Maryland in the red. Let the madness begin. This is the first game of the tournament. Gerald Boudreau will throw the ball in the air. Smith jumps center with Peterson. It's controlled by Smith of Maryland.
I think Maryland's going to try to get the ball down in the low post and dominate the inside early.
Maryland, the youngest team in the tournament. They go right to the freshman Smith, and he slams over Evan Peterson.
Well, Simpkins makes an excellent entry pass, and Joe Smith likes to get the ball up over his head and doesn't put it down in traffic and turn it over.
This should be a fun game to watch. Both teams alike to press full court.
Take a look at Simpkins as he makes this pass. You got a lock and lob here by Joe Smith, a freshman. He plays far beyond his years, and when he gets the ball in his hands, he is capable of finishing, as we talked about in our open.
Erwin Claggett, leading scorer for St. Louis, tried to feed it to Donnie Dobbs along the baseline. He went to the floor to save it.
St. Louis is a perimeter-orientated team, wants to shoot the ball from outside. Donnie Dobbs at 6'3" is a power forward who will move outside to take that shot.
And he missed his first shot, rebounded by Smith. And then the steal by Claggett as he stripped Johnny Rose. Claggett turned it over into the hands of Exree Hip. Keith Booth short with it. And on the floor, Evan Peterson jumps into the pile to tie up the ball with Exree Hip.
Both these teams are very athletic, and we've already witnessed the fact that they can play the passing lanes well. So there will be a lot of turnovers. There will be a lot of transition baskets.
We played just more than a minute. Maryland leads 2-0. And a foul called in the backcourt.
Terrapins are a very young team for Gary Williams. They have no seniors.
And their starting lineup consists of 3 sophomores and 2 freshmen. As you mentioned, they're the youngest team in the tournament. The foul was on Johnny Rhodes, his first. St. Louis, no trouble breaking the press again. Claggett had his 3 deflected at the line by Rhodes. And they tried to feed it into Booth, and they turned it over. We saw the block shot by Rhodes. Gary Williams said in the ACC, when you play teams like Duke and North Carolina, you try to run back on defense and defend the paint. Against St. Louis, you have to run back to the three-point line because they want to pull up and take a 3.
No question about it. And they will pull up for the 3 and take the outside shot, as you see right there, as opposed to taking the ball inside.
First St. Louis bucket in the tournament in 37 years, scored by Scott Highmark, and we're tied at 2, nearly 2 minutes in.
Scott Highmark is a junior out of St. Louis, Missouri, who likes to take the leadership of this team on his shoulders.
Rhodes was fouled as he turned to look at the basket. Fouls on H. Waldman, his first. For those of you waiting to see Ryder in Connecticut, we'll be sending you to the start of that game in just a few moments. James Brown and Billy Pecker will have the action from Uniondale, Long Island, New York, of Ryder in Connecticut. Free throw missed by Rhodes.
Johnny Rhodes is only a 64% free throw shooter, and the Maryland Terrapins are a 69% free throw shooting team.
David Robinson is checked in for St. Louis, wearing number 30. Claggett off to Dobbs. His idol is Charles Barkley. He wears number 34. And like Barkley, undersized perhaps for power forward, but can play in that role. Rhodes with the steal. Another St. Louis turnover. Their second. Simpkins missed a three-point try. Dobbs ripped it away from his teammate Robinson.
Gary Williams said he wants Maryland to be patient on offense because St. Louis is going to try to do the same thing, run the ball up the court, take the outside shot. Maryland needs to be a little more patient, try to get the ball inside, get the Billikens in foul trouble.
It's possible that both teams are tight here in the early going. Players in this matchup not accustomed to NCAA tournament play. Dobbs had it roll off. Another rebound for Smith. His third. Booth.
Excellent example of Maryland getting the ball in their hands and trying to capitalize on the lack of defensive transition by St. Louis. Take a look at taking the ball to the basket strong by Keith Booth, who gets out in front of St. Louis before they can get back and cover the basket.
Into the game, Carl Turner, wearing number 10 for St. Louis. Highmark had a tough time getting it in, but it wound up in the hands of Turner. He's from the state of Maryland, junior from Suitland, Maryland. Grew up as a close friend of Johnny Rhodes of the Terrapins. Matter of fact, their mothers are best friends. Air ball thrown up by Dobbs. Claggett was stripped by Simpkins.
Another example of the quick hands by Maryland.
Hip stepped inside the line and was well short with his shot, rebounded by Robinson. Maryland up 5-2. We played 3.5 minutes. Highmark. Blocked goaltending called against Joe Smith.
It was an excellent move by Scott Highmark to penetrate inside the first line of defense. Watch how he takes the ball right by Maryland to get inside, and Joe Smith catches the ball on the way down, but you got to give Highmark credit for trying to get inside and force the action, at least get to the free throw line or make the easy basket.
Highmark has all 4 St. Louis points. Again, they tried to force it into the post, and it's out of bounds off the hands of Joe Smith.
Well, the Maryland fans felt like number 30, Nick Bosnick, got a hand on that ball.
Then no trouble breaking the press for St. Louis. Turner the pull-up. Short with it. Rebound by Smith, his 4th in 4 minutes. Simpkins collides with Highmark, and it's a blocking call against Scott Highmark.
We're going to see Dwayne Simpkins try to take the ball down court and penetrate off the dribble as much as possible.
First foul on Highmark. We'll return to Midwest Region action right after
this. Tony Gregory, Cincinnati, Ohio, 83,000 miles. Sandy Carlton, Acworth, Georgia, 98,000 miles. Jim Bobbitt, Broomall, Pennsylvania, 110,000 miles. We can't promise you the very same mileage these Michelin owners got. But we can promise you this, the very same peace of mind. Michelin.
Camaro. What else would you expect from the country that invented rock and roll?
This time around, we'll dance. We'll dance down the rooftops. Dance up the thunder. And we'll ride the rhythm. Because everything's possible.
Get 2 medium, 2 topping thin crust pizzas, just $12.99. Plus 3 months of Showtime free.
It's a hot deal. It's a cool deal. The Domino's, I want it. I need it. Deal.
2 medium, 2 2-topping thin crust pizzas, just $12.99, plus 3 months of great entertainment on Showtime, free.
Something for nothing when you call Domino's.
Those of you in areas of natural interest that we will be getting out to the southeast region for the tip of the Charleston-Wake Forest game at 12:35 Eastern Time. Dick Stockton and Al McGuire will call the action from Lexington, Kentucky. Here in Wichita, it's 5-4 Maryland. Scott Highmark has all 4 points for St. Louis, and both teams showing signs of early jitters with the turnovers that are to be expected.
And neither team has shot the ball very well. Maryland's only 40%. St. Louis is 29% so far.
Yep. Lost the handle to Carl Turner right on cue. Another turnover.
St. Louis needs to start looking inside to get the ball down low. Whether Dobbs shoots it or not, get it inside, force the defense to collapse, and then pitch it back out for your three-point shot.
Three-point try by David Robinson.
Maybe they were listening. It was a two-point basket.
Yes, it was. His feet were on the line.
But that's what happens if you get the ball inside. The defense now has to react and play the ball. And if you have a chance to move on the perimeter, you'll get easy, high percentage or open shots.
Smith knocks it in from the baseline.
Joe Smith is capable of catching the ball and putting it on the floor from there.
Maryland with a 1-point lead. Highmark right by Smith and was fouled by Rose, who goes hollering at Gerald Boudreau, the official who made the call.
We talked about Scott Highmark taking this team on his shoulders and being a leader out there by example. And you see he's going to take the ball to the basket, and as he does, he gives the shot blocking Joe Smith a little bit of a head fake and causes him to come out and then goes around him.
2 fouls now on Johnny Rose. Highmark makes the first as his parents Debbie and Duncan look on. His dad is an executive for Ralston Purina Company who made a wager with Scott and challenged Scott to get a 4.0 grade point average last semester, in the fall semester. Instead if he did, he'd give him a vehicle. And sure enough, Scott went out and got the 4.0. Dad gave him his car, and Dad went out and got a new car for himself.
Well, that's a good reason to get a new car.
It was still a different vehicle for Scott Highmark. Matt Kavart just into the game for Maryland. Tough bounce. Matter of fact, Charlie Spoonhauer, the St. Louis coach, said yesterday at the shoot-around that these rims are harder than algebra here at the Kansas Coliseum. Claggett missed a 3.
Which means that there are going to be a lot of long rebounds with long shots.
Wayne Simpkins, the left-hander, knocked it in for Maryland. The Terrapins back up by 1, and this is the kind of game we expect. Up and down, pressing and running, and that time Dobbs is a little too anxious to run. He traveled. Waldman back in for St. Louis. Kovark with Simpkins on the floor in the backcourt for Maryland. Mario Lucas is checked in wearing number 21 for the Terrapins as Rhodes has gone to the bench with his 2 fouls. Smith and Hip also on the floor, and Lucas threw it away. 5 Maryland turnovers.
Well, that should be something that Charlie Spoonhauer is going to keep an eye on, trying to force Maryland to pick up their dribble and get guys who are unfamiliar with handling the ball, make them make decisions. And we've already seen what they do. They've turned it over early in the game.
Maryland has more turnovers than field goals at the moment. They have 4 field goals, 5 turnovers. For St. Louis, Waldman and Turner, the backcourt. Highmark, Robinson and Dobbs, the front court. Waldman held on the drive by Matt Kovarik, his first foul, and the 3rd against Maryland. H. Waldman, the transfer from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, left UNLV with the departure of Jerry Tarkanian. He is a staunch defender of Tark the Shark. And H is his first name. There is no abbreviation, no punctuation. His grandfather and father are each named Herb. H's mother, Sharon, didn't like the name Herb, so compromised with her husband and named their son H, although some of his Billiken teammates still refer to H as Herb.
Little Herb.
9-9 the score. We played just more than 6 minutes here in Wichita, Kansas, which is hosting NCAA Tournament action for the first time since 1981. Smith, the pull-up. You see why he is the freshman of the year. He has 6 points.
Well, Joe Smith is going to be very active out here on the floor this afternoon. And once he gets the ball in his hands about 10 feet from the basket, can shoot the open jumper. It can also take it into the basket.
Dobbs really the only inside threat for St. Louis at 6'3". Missed the shot. Lucas, another example of the tight rims here in Wichita, rebounded by Robinson. We played 7 minutes. Maryland leads by 2.
St. Louis, I think, still needs to continue to look inside. Try to get the ball inside about 12 or 15 feet before they look at the basket.
Dobbs from about 2 feet.
Well, if you get the penetration, and Maryland has excellent shot blockers, you give one quick ball fake or head fake, they'll usually go up and change a couple of light bulbs.
Kovarik missed the layup. Robinson has 4 rebounds off the bench for St. Louis. Highmark the miss. Smith had the rebound, and then he was fouled by Turner.
Take a look at Donnie Dobbs, number 34 from St. Louis, in the right side of your screen, moving without the basketball. And as the penetration is made, he's just going to get his little wide body. He's only 6'3", but weighs about 220 pounds, but able to make enough room inside to be able to get any shot off.
Johnny Rhodes back in with his 2 fouls. Donnie Dobbs was the first recruit for Charlie Spoonhour at St. Louis. He was going to go to Pacific, but then when Spoonhour was hired at St. Louis, he decided to become a Billiken. Hip, nice pass, the easy 2 from Mario Lucas, the sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee.
X3 Hip makes that penetration and gets inside just enough to force the ball down low.
Rhodes the steal, the bucket, and then he was fouled, and with that steal, he has set a single-season Maryland steals record with 72. He just broke his own record. He had 71 last year.
He does an excellent job in playing good perimeter defense and using his hands very well. Quick feet, quick hands, usually it leads to a lot of loose balls, and he comes up with this one, able to get it back home.
And Rhodes made the free throw. He has 4 points. Maryland leads by 5. Carlos McCauley with the ball just into the game for St. Louis, wearing number 12. Turner. It spins out. Out of bounds, off the hands of Keith Booth. St. Louis will inbound. Maryland leads by 5, and we'll be back in just a moment.
You beat it up, weigh it down, push it around, and it never asks for a day off. You expect that from a Chevy truck. And when it comes time to sell your Chevy, it'll keep on giving with the highest resale value of any full-size pickup. So you not only get more for your dollar, you get more back. From Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
The whole idea of saving for retirement is to get ahead. But if your IRA has annual fees and mutual fund sales charges, it can set you back from the start. To make all your money work for you, put it into a Schwab no annual fee IRA. You can choose from over 200 no-load mutual funds and pay no sales charges. And this performance guide is yours free when you open an account. So to make all your IRA money work for you,
maybe it's time to come to Schwab.
In the preseason, I don't get out much. But come spring, there's nothing more relaxing than a little walk in the park.
All men are created equal. Some just work harder in the preseason.
John McDonough with Derek Dickey back in Wichita, Kansas, where Maryland has the largest lead in the game, 5 points over St. Louis, led by Joe Smith. The Terrapins have outscored St. Louis 7-2 over the last minute and 45. Smith on the bench getting a breather. He has 6 points and 6 rebounds to this point.
Well, Maryland's doing a good job of getting higher percentage shots, and they're doing it with steals and turnovers, and they're now shooting about 54% from the field and holding St. Louis to only 31% field goal shooting early.
Carlos McCauley, the sophomore from Charleston, Missouri. Now Turner.
The problem with St. Louis is that they rely on the outside shot so much that when it's not going, it can really hurt you.
See the shot clock. St. Louis needs to hoist one. Claggett should have shot with the clock running out. Instead, he tried to feed Robinson underneath the bucket, and he couldn't handle it.
And that has to be a perfect pass to get the shot off before the clock expires.
5 turnovers committed by St. Louis. McCauley on the bench, replaced by Highmark. Hip. And his pass went off the leg of Lucas and out of bounds.
Maryland doesn't have any problem breaking the press by St. Louis unless they get just across half court. They're getting trapped in the corner.
Dobbs into the traffic, short of the shot. The rebound hit the floor before it was scooped up by Matt Kovarik, the freshman from Greensboro, North Carolina, out of Grimsley High School.
Seen Donnie Dobbs a couple of times get inside for what should be layups, and he hasn't been able to finish those plays because of the great shot blockers that Maryland possesses.
Booth lost it out of bounds. And Joe Smith will return for Maryland. Jeff Harris is coming in for the first time for St. Louis, wearing number 42. And Dobbs gets a breather. Maryland continues to press. Highmark. Way long with the shot. It was fielded by Rhodes.
Still pressure defense by Maryland all over the floor, forcing the Billikens to take shots away from where they want to set up.
St. Louis has hit only one of its last 7 shots. Smith got the favorable bounce. He has 8.
Joe Smith is going to have to score in order for Maryland to maintain this lead.
They had Turner trapped. He managed to avoid the trap by getting the ball to Robinson. Midway through the first half, Maryland leads by 7. Claggett off to a slow start, missed another, rebounded by Smith. He has 7 rebounds to go with his 8 points. Kovarik called for a charge. As he passed the ball off, he collided with Carl Turner. That's 2 fouls on Matt Kovarik. And Kovarik goes to the bench. Nick Bosnick, number 30, is in for Maryland, and Dwayne Simpkins has returned.
Over number 30, Nick. Going to keep an eye on Erwin Claggett, number 13, the leading scorer for St. Louis. He does not like a lot of contact. Physical players seem to bother him, and so far he's had some trouble getting a shot off with Johnny Rhodes on him.
Claggett passed up the 3-pointer. Turner takes it. That's an air ball. It wound up in the hands of Keith Booth. Ahead of the field, Smith. Off to Bosnick. He dropped the pass. Turner the other way. Carl played the last 2 seasons at San Jacinto Junior College, one of the top JC programs in the nation.
Defense by Maryland really has St. Louis stymied right now.
Robinson tried to dump it down low, intended for Harris, but it was intercepted. The Billikens have handed it over to the Terrapins 6 times. It's still Maryland by 7 with 8:50 left in the first half. Booth couldn't handle the feed from Rhodes. It was a good pass, just a little bit too hot for Booth to handle. St. Louis, an excellent 3-point shooting team, as those numbers demonstrate. For the year, they're at 39% as a team, but 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. Or as they might want to call it in St. Louis, the arch.
St. Louis is a very good 3-point shooting team. However, in order to create those open shots, you have to penetrate, get the defense to collapse, and St. Louis has been shooting the ball with a defender in their face. That's why they haven't been able to convert early in the game.
These 2 teams have combined for 12 field goals to this point and 16 turnovers.
That play probably has a lot to do with the fact that this is the first game of the tournament. A lot of jitters, a lot of nerves, and we have a lot of young players out there. The Billikens have 2 seniors. We talked about Maryland. They don't have any.
Gary Williams thought perhaps his team was just a little bit too happy to be in the NCAA tournament, so he told us before yesterday's practice he was going to get after his team during the workout, and he really did.
Yes, he did. And that is important when you have young players because, yes, they can be excited, they can be happy about being here, but the object is to win games.
On the shot clock. High mark. Stripped. Looked like Simpkins got a hand on the ball. Simpkins ahead of the pack.
Excellent defense by the Maryland Terrapins to be able to tip that ball away and keep it in their possession and go down for the easy conversion.
Nearly another steal in the backcourt by Wayne Bristol, number 31, who has come in. Dobb scores. That's the first score for St. Louis in their last 11 trips down the floor.
That's because Maryland is now playing so aggressive on the perimeter. They have the ability to get the ball inside, and if you do, Donnie Dobbs can at least get to the foul line if he doesn't score.
Smith. Off glass for 2. He has 10.
Joe Smith quietly does his job. He doesn't say much on the court. He is always working to get open to catch the ball, and he has become a very good passer.
Highmark has a 3 that rattles out. Smith tipped the rebound to Simpkins. Again, the Terps push it. Simpkins, foul call. And Wayne Simpkins will go to the line. College of Charleston off to an early lead over Wake Forest.
Watch the position by the freshman, number 32, Joe Smith, at the top of your screen. He's just working to move without the basketball, and he does a great job of sealing off the defense. And once he gets it in his hands, he doesn't put it on the floor like you see a lot of young kids does. He takes it straight up to the basket.
He's on his way to averaging a double-double for the season. He'd be only the 4th freshman in ACC history to do that. Only 4 others, I should say, have done that. Mike Jaminski, Ralph Sampson, Tree Rollins, and Buck Williams. How about that company?
That's pretty good company, and I think he has a great future in front of him. And Gary Williams should be proud of the fact that he did recruit this young man out of Norfolk, Virginia.
Simpkins missed the first. And Gary says there's this perception that because Duke and North Carolina really didn't recruit Joe Smith, that he was not a top prospect or a highly recruited player, but that isn't true. Those schools just chose not to pursue Smith. Maryland knew about him when he was a sophomore in high school. We'll return in just a moment.
The Women's Final Four coming soon on CBS.
Sure, you've got a car. Got a dog. Even got some fun-loving friends. But have you got what it takes to be a mountain man?
You are watching the NCAA Basketball Championship on CBS.
With St. Louis in the danger zone, hi everybody, Pat O'Brien in New York along with Clark Kellogg. Want to politely interrupt this game. We'll keep our eye on it, take you around the country, get a sense of what's going on. First in the southeast region, Charleston and Wake Forest in the white, and Wake Forest not getting a wake-up call here.
They certainly haven't, Pat. They started the game going the first 4 minutes without scoring. No points from their backcourt, Randolph Childress and Charles Harrison, and they've not done much inside. Charleston, on the other hand, shooting right about 60% from the floor in the early going.
Can Charleston do it?
They certainly are gaining in confidence with each passing moment that they stay on the lead.
Taking command with 5 turnovers from Wake Forest. Let's go out to the east in Long Island. Ryder in Connecticut. Ryder slowed the game down early. Now Connecticut's made a little comeback. It's a 1-point game. Connecticut up by 1. Connecticut in white.
Well, Danielle Marshall started slowly, missed his first 4 shots, finally got on the board. Connecticut now, with their pressured defense, they'll start to wear you down a little bit. And you know that guy, Danielle Marshall, will not stay silent all game long.
Connecticut with a 9-0 run, 15-14 there, 9:22 left in that ball game. So we take you around the country, and as we said earlier, St. Louis in the danger zone quickly, Clark.
They certainly are. Joe Smith, the outstanding freshman, doing a great job. He's got 12 points and 8 boards already, has yet to miss a shot from the floor. And right now, Maryland, with that pressure defense, starting to wear down the Billikens a little bit.
Tournament talk on this Thursday. Let's go back to Sean and Derek.
Thank you, Pat Clark. And while you were engaging in tournament talk, St. Louis turned it over 2 more times. Joe Smith scored a field goal for Maryland. Keith Booth made 1 out of 2 free throws. The Terrapins on a 16-4 run over the last 6.5 minutes to open up a 13-point lead with 6:10 remaining.
Maryland is also doing a great job defensively, as you mentioned, holding St. Louis to a little less than 26% from the field.
Joe Smith is probably going to have a double-double here in the first half. He has 8 rebounds now. Rhodes knocked in another. He has 6. And as Pat O'Brien said, St. Louis is in the danger zone and then some. I should point out that both of these teams struggled down the stretch heading into the NCAA tournament. St. Louis just 4-4 in its final 8 games after a 19-1 start. And Maryland lost 8 of its last 12, including 4 of its final 5. Nearly another turnover. H. Waldman. They call his 3-pointers H-bombs, but that one blew up on H that time. Bristol, the pull-up. And Dobbs, the rebound.
This is still a very fast-paced game. St. Louis just has been unable to get the ball in the basket because they have Maryland defenders in their face. They cannot get the shot off quick enough.
15 seconds on the shot clock. Underneath, Dobbs lays it in.
Johnny Dobbs has the ability to score. We keep talking about him, but you have to be able to make that entry pass, and the Billiken guards, since they're not shooting the ball well from the outside, need to continue to look down low.
Johnny Rhodes scores for Maryland. And the lead is 15. McCauley goes to the floor with Booth. Carlos McCauley got it to Waldman. Erwin Claggett, the leading scorer for the Billikens, coming in at 17.5 per game, has not scored.
Not scored because of the physical defense that 6'5" Johnny Rhodes is playing on him. Claggett's only 6'1".
Robinson powered in and scored.
Well, David Robinson is another player at 6'6" who has the ability to put the ball in the basket from down low, but having a guy like Joe Smith at 6'9" or 6'10" in his face, it's been very difficult.
Under 4 minutes left in the first half. Keith Booth. Rebounded by Carlos McCauley.
If you're a St. Louis fan, you want to keep Maryland shooting the ball outside.
Dobbs missed it. Smith, another rebound. He's 1 rebound away from a double-double in the first half. Bristol, in a hurry, travels. 3:33 remaining in the first half. The Terrapins lead by 13.
State Farm presents the rules of the game.
Today's topic, intentional foul. In this play, an obvious foul is called on the defensive player, but the official rules that it is an intentional foul. What constitutes an intentional foul?
Tony and Diane get regular insurance checkups, just like they get regular medical checkups. I'm State Farm Agent Carlos Bermudez. I have been their State Farm agent 7 years. A family insurance checkup helps them make sure all their coverages are up to date. It's also a good time to explore options, like how their life insurance plan can be adapted to help with their daughter's college education. I think the family insurance checkup is something everybody can feel good about.
The rule states that a foul shall be ruled intentional even though a player plays the ball if he causes excessive contact with his opponent.
Rules of the Game has been sponsored by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
For the first time, there's a saw that combines a 12-amp motor, dust collection, and an auto brake. So there's no limit to what you can build. Introducing the Quantum Circular Saw, new from Black & Decker.
This is the planet Earth. And this is the most popular line of sport utility vehicles on the planet. Chevrolet. For this guy, any deodorant will do. But these guys need Speed Stick, antiperspirant that gives 110%. And now Speed Stick deodorant has a powerful new formula to fight odor. Speed Stick, for movers and shakers, the #1, the only one.
A new breed of cop.
First strat check.
With a powerful ally.
Fire him or support him. Or else I'm going to tip your desk over on you.
Thursdays, get set for Traps.
With both teams pressing full court, turnovers the story in the early going, and St. Louis has not shot the ball well. Maryland off to a 13-point lead, led by Joe Smith, who's perfect from the floor and is one rebound away from a double-double here in the first half.
Maryland has done a very good job of dominating the inside, and the Billikens have struggled shooting the ball from the perimeter. Their leading scorer, Erwin Claggett, has been unable to get off the mark. He's averaging 18 points a game, 0 for 3 from the field.
The St. Louis guards combined 0 for 7. This is Claggett. That's a three-point try. He needed it, as did the Billikens, and they got it. First point for Claggett. He's a junior from Venice, Illinois. About 10 miles from St. Louis. They call him the Venice Menace. Smith was pushed at the free throw line.
Billikens are now 1 for 7 from long range, and they need that to help with the confidence of this team. But I still think they have the ability to get the ball inside to Donnie Dobbs or David Robinson down on the low post.
The foul was on Donnie Campbell. And that puts St. Louis over the limit. It's their 7th team foul. The first on Campbell. Smith at the free throw line. 73% for the year. Near the conclusion of today's game, Derek and I will select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. I wonder who the leading candidate might be for Maryland.
Maybe the young man on the free throw line. He's a complete player who has the ability to get himself open to receive the basketball, but finish his plays off.
This is the first of 4 games to be played here today in Wichita, Kansas. First round action of Midwest Region. It was a tight game for the first couple of minutes. Teams exchanged the lead, but Maryland has pulled away, led by Joe Smith. They're up by 12. Robinson had his shot blocked by Smith. Rhodes put it on the floor in traffic, lost the handle, and then a foul is committed. And it's going against St. Louis. Or rather, it's going against Johnny Rhodes of Maryland, and that's his 3rd as he fouled the Billikens' David Robinson. The winner of this game gets the winner of Massachusetts and Southwest Texas. That game's up next here in Wichita. Tonight, Texas and Western Kentucky, Michigan and Pepperdine. Wayne Bristol has returned to the lineup. Rhodes has to go to the bench with 3 personals for the Terrapins. 2.5 minutes left in the first half. Maryland leads by 12. Maryland is making its 11th appearance all time in the NCAA Tournament. In their previous 10 appearances, they have never lost a first-round game.
If Maryland's able to come away with this victory and continue the inside dominance that they've had, they have a chance to take some confidence into the next round if they get to play UMass or Southwest Texas State.
H. Waldman, NBA 3, and he got it.
H. Waldman, you mentioned, was a transfer from UNLV. Plays with a lot of flair, a lot of flash, and is not afraid to get up in the air, hang, and shoot the ball from post-NBA range. Excellent basketball player.
That's the first H bomb of the game, and now an H steal. Count the bucket. Bristol the foul. Waldman with a chance for a 3-point play.
Waldman is now showing his athletic ability by playing the passing lanes on the defensive end. You're going to take a look at the steal. He's just continuing to play the outfield just as he does. Takes the ball away and attacks the glass to get the ball to go down. Watch as Waldman is taking a look at the defender. Bristol gets over just a little too late, but he does not pull up on the dribble. Takes it right to the hole.
Foul was on Wayne Bristol, his first, the 7th against the Terrapins. They're now over the limit. Waldman, a good free throw shooter at 81%, has 7 points now, and all of a sudden, the Billikens are within 6, and they can come from behind in a hurry with their 3-point shooting ability.
If the Billikens can take better care of the basketball, they have a chance to stay in this game, even though Maryland is dominating on the inside because St. Louis can shoot the ball so well from the perimeter.
They tried to lob it into Smith, and he was being held. It looked like Donnie Dobbs had a hold of him. Coming up on Pennzoil at the half with Pat O'Brien and Clark Kellogg. They'll have all the scores and highlights of the action that is underway. Ryder in Connecticut, Charleston, and Wake Forest. The other games being played at the moment. And here, St. Louis is on a 9-2 run over the last 2.5 minutes to pull within 6. Smith back at the free throw line. Charlie Spoonhour, an active coach on the sideline and sometimes official.
Spoonhour has done a tremendous job. 2 years ago when he got here, this St. Louis team was 0-10 in the Great Midwest Conference. Last year they won 1 game in conference play, and this year they've turned it around 8-4 in the Great Midwest Conference.
And they call it spoon ball, and Spoon just got off the bench. He thought there was a foul on the rebound action as Maryland kept it alive, courtesy of Keith Booth. Then Hip turned it over. Highmark in the front court. St. Louis has battled back into the game, trailed by as many as 13 points. They're down 6 with a minute to play in the first half.
Billikens need a basket here going into halftime to maintain their confidence and keep the run going.
15 on the shot clock. Waldman missed the 3, rebounded by Booth. He's had a terrific freshman year as Booth. He's been living in the shadow of Joe Smith. Waldman, great hustle. Bristol saved it for Maryland. Simpkins kept it alive. Hip called for a travel. And St. Louis can take it down for the final shot with 34 seconds left in the first half.
Great hustle by both these teams. Maryland not able to come up with the handle. We're going to see the good hustle by the Terrapins to try to keep this ball in play as it's knocked back inside by H. Waldman. And to keep the ball in bounds, Maryland is just continuing to throw the ball over the top, and St. Louis is very fortunate to come up with a steal.
Maryland again with the full court press. Highmark. It was kicked by Booth, defending the inbound pass. Highmark a little bit exasperated with his teammates. They didn't move to get open, in his opinion.
And that's what you have to get the ball in the inside inbounds in order to be able to begin play. And guys have to break to get open. You cannot remain stationary.
Booth, a little bit too aggressive. He's called for the reach-around foul on H. Waldman. 2 fouls on Keith Booth.
So simple a fundamental as getting the ball in bounds is sometimes when you're being overplayed, you have to give head fakes, body fakes, set screens, whatever it takes to just get the ball in play. Once you get it in play, then you can run your offense.
Carlos McCauley reports back for duty for St. Louis. Mario Lucas has returned to the game for the Terrapins. And Claggett takes the seat. H. Waldman, the free throw shooter. Waldman sat out last year as a transfer from UNLV. Been a winner throughout his career while he was with the Runnin' Rebels for 2 years. They went 34-1 his freshman year, 26-2 his second year. This year, his first year as a player at St. Louis, they're 23-5 so far. H. Waldman's career, his teams are 83-8. They've won 91% of their games. He couldn't understand what all the big deal was in St. Louis this year when the Billikens started winning. Lucas powers to the hoop.
Nice job by Maryland to get the ball over the top of the defense by the Billikens.
10 seconds left. They can hold for the final shot. Maryland leads by 7. McCauley hit the pull-up.
Excellent penetration right at the end by McCauley to get St. Louis a little bit of confidence.
At the end of the first half, Maryland leads 35-30. Pat O'Brien and Clark Kellogg will be along with Pennzoil at the half after this message.
Exclusive coverage of the first round of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Visa, State Farm Insurance, and by Menin Speed Stick.
Examine this carefully before you buy your next car. Not just because it has standard dual airbags and starts at under $11,500, but because this is the Geo Prism, and 98% of the people who bought a Prism would recommend Prism to a friend. before you buy your next car, foreign or domestic, call 1-800-GET-TO-KNOW and get to know Geo Prism. Your friends would.
It's called March Madness, and there are 3 games going on around the country right now. Pretty good games at that. The West kicks in later this afternoon as March Madness is on the air here on CBS.
CBS Sports presents Pennzoil at the Half, sponsored by Pennzoil, the motor oil you can rely on for performance, protection, and quality.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien, along with Clark Kellogg. Hello, Clark. Welcome to our New York studios here. 35-30 is the score right now. In St. Louis, we almost buried them, and they're making a little comeback here.
They really are. They're doing it with spoon ball, which basically is about resiliency. They didn't give up when they were down double digits. They've been able to get back into the game because of good defense.
Speaking of staying in the game and getting back in the game, I want to send you out to the East region. Now, Ryder really showing some toughness. They're only down by 4 now. Let's go to James Brown and Billy Packer. JB.
This is Ryder College. Crimson uniforms, trailing Connecticut 28-24. 45% field goal percentage has kept Ryder within striking distance the last couple of moments, and of course throughout the ball game where it has enjoyed a lead of 2, 4, and 6 points at times, Billy. Haynes, nice move. That's a playground move.
One of the things that's interesting there, Flowers is being guarded by Knight, going out and setting good screens. Knight not quick enough to cut that off when he comes out to check.
10 first-half points for Deion Haynes, who averages 14.
Connecticut's missed 18 shots so far in this half. They're a club that scores in the high 80s, and you look at this score up here, obviously being played at Ryder's tempo.
But certainly what has helped Connecticut has been the board work.
13 right there.
And a foul called on Mark Wilcox. And if that is on Wilcox, and it is, that is his 3rd personal foul.
Yes, it was Wilcox, and obviously that, even though we're down to 127, 3 fouls on Wilcox, not a good situation for Ryder.
Mark Wilcox, the 3rd leading scorer on this team, and the most dangerous threat from 3-point range.
He's gone to the bench there, which is something next year he'll get accustomed to, because he's already decided to go to graduate school at Ryder and to become the graduate assistant coach. So he now can sit down and see how he likes that. I don't think he's got time to take a shower and get into a suit, but let's see if he can help him out over there.
Although I'm sure he would like to delay that just a bit.
Yep.
1:13 left here in the first half of play. 28-26. Connecticut on top. Charles Smith, the leading scorer for Ryder, with the ball now in the paint. Off the back of the iron. Strong rebound. Follow, and it's good, and he's fouled. Al Flowers. Billy, he's been active ever since coming off the bench.
He really is doing a fine job off the bench. He's given up about 3 inches to anybody that he's played, but he just hustles, goes up there with 2 hands. Knight can't get to him. Knight at 7'1", having a hard time with Flowers at about 6'4". There it is, a great putback, goes up quick.
Flowers 2 of 2 from the field. He's got 4 points, and both of his rebounds have been on the offensive glass. Make it his 5th point. The reserve, who averages only 3.
Remember, this club played Kentucky last year in the first round of the NCAA Tournament. Obviously not the same cast of characters, but that had to give them a little confidence they can go up against major players.
And it goes back to Ryder. A 10-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock, so Connecticut will get one more opportunity, theoretically.
See here with Wilcox out of the game, see if they can't set Charles Smith up for some kind of shot. He's being guarded by Ray Allen. Flowers has set some good screens. Pinnock's a pretty good feeder.
Deion Haynes, essentially the only guard out there.
Looks like they're trying to get Smith to post up low on Allen.
Shot clock down to 5.
Good hedge time by Johnson.
Haynes tried to go through too many people that time. Kevin Ollie ahead to Allen. Smart move on the part of Allen, Billy, to collect himself and then draw the foul.
Well, that's the second outstanding catch he's made on a long pass. Interesting, Jim Calhoun has not gone back to Donyell Marshall. Now, remember how this game started, and Donyell took a couple of shots that were out of character for him? Really set the stage, maybe, for how he played in the first half. I think we'll see a different Donyell Marshall here in the second.
Donyell Marshall, to embellish your point, 2 of 7 from the field for only 6 points. He's got 2 fouls, and I'm sure Jim Calhoun not looking for him to pick up that third either.
Right. Ray Allen right at an 80% free throw shooter.
Misses the second, and a foul called in the paint.
Willingham.
And it will go over to Ryder. Natambu. They'll check and make it Kurt King. Here in this half of the East bracket, Long Island, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, Florida, James Madison. Those will be evening contests. Up next will be the University of Alabama at Birmingham, taking on George Washington.
Well, I thought when I read the paper this morning, George Washington already won that game. But it turned out to be the women's game in the NCAA Championship. Unusual, the women and the men both playing the same opponents in the opening round.
And a number of squads like that in the field of 64 for both men and women. Connecticut being one. Strong rebound by Ray Allen.
He looked up at the clock. He didn't get it off in time. He had it in mind to get the shot off, but just couldn't get up there.
So Kevin Bannon takes his Bronx into the locker room, happy, I would think, with a tie ball game there. Another high seed making some noise is Charleston. Let's go out to the Southeast region. Dick Stockton and Al McGuire.
Wake Forest was at one point down 12 points, and they have narrowed the lead to 1. College at Charleston, the Cinderellas of this tournament, clinging to a 1-point lead with 2:40 to go in the first half. And they're going to call the offensive foul against College at Charleston. And that'll be on Ward. So Ken Ward, who's looked awfully good, has 3 personal fouls. And that's the 10th team foul on Charleston, so Wake Forest will shoot a pair.
Yep, it's the super bonus they call it. As a 10th foul, you get 2 shots. It's too soon each half. It should be around the 12th or 13th foul.
That's John Kress, who yesterday had an interview with Tennessee. Might have been the other day. And Roy Williams of Kansas turned down the Tennessee job, left open when Wade Houston left, and now John Kress is a candidate for that job.
Well, he's been 15 years in that beautiful city of Charleston. It is a beautiful city. And okay, here we go, Pat.
He was a walk-on and was an assistant under Louis Carnesecca, but never lost the New York accent, Al, even though he's been down south for a while.
He was under Louis when Louis was in the ABA with the Nets, and also under Louis at St. John's for 4 years.
Wake Forest is now on a 12-1 run right now, and they have their first lead of the ball game with 2:35 to go. It's been a long time coming. Let's see how the 12th-seeded
So Clark Kellogg, when these low seeds get hot early, they better stay hot, I would think.
Well, Charleston is a perimeter-oriented team, and typically that kind of team can shoot themselves into a lead or shoot themselves out of the game.
Interesting, though, and good games all around the country. 23-22 now. It's a 24-23. That's a 1-point game. I'm going to send you back to the Midwest, to Maryland and St. Louis. Thanks for watching the Pennzoil at the half. Enjoy the second half, everybody.
Pennzoil at the half was sponsored by Pennzoil, the motor oil you can rely on for performance, protection, and quality.
Who's got the winning color?
Hey fans, this 3-point play could get you to the Final Four. Game cards are inside specially marked cases of Pennzoil motor oil. Or will you get your oil changed professionally with Pennzoil? Scratch, match, and win one of 4 trips for 2 to the Final Four in 94 or 95. Or any of 10,000 other prizes. What a slam fest this is going to be. So fans, get your Pennzoil now and you got the winning color. Oh man, what a game.
When the chance came to work at Saturn, part of a new crew, I hoped what I'd heard was true. For every step of the way, the people who build the cars are responsible, and they can make a judgment. Maybe that's why October 12th is a day I'll never forget. That's the day I pulled the rope and stopped the Saturn line. It was just a broken retainer clip. It just took a minute to fix. You know, given the chance, anyone prefers to make a perfect product. At Saturn, by giving us that rope, they've given us that chance.
Are you a high school senior? You want to play next year at an NCAA Division I or II school? You must be certified by the NCAA Initial Eligibility Clearinghouse. Ask your coach or guidance counselor for one of these student release forms. Fill it out and send it to the clearinghouse. Remember, if you're not certified, you can't compete as a freshman in NCAA Division I or II. For more information, call 319-337-1492.
I started college with a basketball scholarship. I thought nothing could stop me. But one night I did get stopped. What I learned is that drinking less than everybody else doesn't make you a designated driver. The bad news is I lost my license and my scholarship. The good news is I found a job to help with tuition. The hard part is all this is over.
Marlo Thomas, Mel Harris, and Ali Sheedy.
My dad did unspeakable things to us.
Sisters face their past and expose the ultimate betrayal Sunday.
Here in Wichita, Maryland leads St. Louis by 5 at the half. CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message.
Pinnock? He's a service manager at Saturn Shreveport.
Hello, Mr. Marchdale. How are you doing, sir? We're going to have a good barbecue.
Every month, Russ invites all the new Saturn owners in and tells them about their car. Russ just wants to make sure we know how everything works on the car.
We're going to cover the right and wrong way to change a flat.
I definitely could change a tire now and change my oil.
Any questions while I'm going along, Ray?
He's a pretty neat guy. I guess you just have to get to know Russ.
Does that man ever fill up?
He has unusual hair, Russ does.
Did everybody get enough barbecue to eat?
Look who's living in Archie Bunker's house now.
You are a bigot.
Black man can't be a bigot, son.
Turn that to a Korean, Dad.
Some things never change.
We have too many children having children.
You just might be right on that one, son. Because I know one too many that I had.
From the creator of All in the Family, there's an all-new family.
Women are looking for someone who'll say I do. Men want anybody to say I will.
704 Housing premieres Monday, April 11th. This is CBS.
Introducing the Relationship Loan from Fort Wayne National Bank. New customers can borrow at a low 6.9% APR. If you have a checking or savings account or open one, it's 6.8 APR. Checking and savings, 6.7 APR. And if you have a checking, savings, and any other loan with us, you can borrow at an unbelievable 6.5% APR. See, it really does pay to bank with us.
Fort Wayne's my city, and that's my bank.
The Relationship Loan. The better we know you, the better it gets. Only at Fort Wayne National Bank.
Welcome back to Wichita, where Maryland leads St. Louis by 5 at the half. Sean McDonough with Derek Dickey. And Derek, it seems obvious if St. Louis is going to win this game, they have to continue to hit their outside shots.
They have to continue to get the ball inside, pitch it back out, not let the defense get out so quickly on it. If they make those shots, shoot a higher percentage, they're back in this game.
Maryland with a 5-point lead, and it's only 5 despite their statistical domination of the first half. They outshot St. Louis by almost a margin of 2-1. Maryland in the first half, 64% from the floor. Maryland only 37%. Maryland also out-rebounded the Billikens by 8. But the lead is only 5. It was 15 at its largest margin. X-Ray Hip makes it a 7-point game with the first basket of the second half. First points of the game for X-Ray Hip.
Maryland's going to come back out and continue to work to use that same pressure that got them the lead early in the game, and now try to get the shots from 15 to 10 to 15 feet to the basket.
High mark to Claggett. They're on the floor with Waldman, Dobbs, and Robinson to open the second half for St. Louis. Largest lead for Maryland in the first half was 28-13. And then St. Louis went on a 17-7 run over the final 5:45. Waldman's shot was contested by Simpkins and rebounded by Hipp.
Another example of St. Louis taking a shot with a defender right in their face. They're not moving the ball quickly enough.
Booth, powerful move, and he was fouled as he took the shot.
Excellent job by Keith Booth to get the ball down on the block. Teammates call him Turk. Able to get the ball right to the basket and attack.
More stats from the first half. We mentioned the rebound margin, 18-10 in favor of Maryland. St. Louis, 2 of 9 from three-point range. Smith had 15 points and 10 rebounds each. Waldman with a couple of late three-point plays led St. Louis with 9. Booth makes the free throw. A double-double for Smith in the first half, by the way. It's his 19th double-double of the season, and it's the 3rd time that he's done it by halftime in a game this year.
I'd say that's an impressive stat of a young man who is only going to continue to grow with his skills.
Smith had 10 rebounds in the first half. The St. Louis team had a total of 10. Maryland by 8, just underway in the second half. First round action in the Midwest region here in Wichita, Kansas. The winner will take on the victor of the game between Massachusetts and Southwest Texas State. Claggett for 3.
When Erwin Claggett has daylight to be able to get that shot off, he can make it from just about post-NBA range, but he has to be able to get enough room, enough clearance between himself and the defender.
The lead is 5, as it was at halftime for the Maryland Terrapins. Hipp guarded tightly by Highmark and still hit the shot with Scott Highmark right in his face. Maryland with a 7-point lead. We've played just more than 2 minutes here in the second half. Maryland led by 5 at halftime. They're out shooting and out rebounding St. Louis by a wide margin, led by Joe Smith, the National Freshman of the Year. St. Louis has stayed in the game with some late three-pointers in the first half.
St. Louis has been out of this game, it appears, on paper, but if you look at the score, they're only down by 7 points. Maryland has dominated inside. They've dominated on the boards and also forced turnovers.
Joe Smith, the follow-away, he has 17 points. And the lead back up to 9. St. Louis breaks the press. Maryland has pressed throughout. And Claggett, who had a quiet first half, has a couple of three-pointers out of the locker room here in the second half.
Erwin Claggett only 3 points in that first half. Now he's starting to find the mark because he's moving without the basketball, able to catch it with his shoulder square, and he's knocked in 2 three-pointers already.
He has 9 points on 3 three-pointers. Smith was fouled. Smith did not miss a shot from the floor in the first half. He was 6 for 6. For those of you who just joined us, the winner of this game gets the winner of the UMass Southwest Texas State game, which is the next offering here in Wichita. And the doubleheader tonight is Michigan and Pepperdine, Texas and Western Kentucky.
There's going to be some exciting basketball throughout this region all day long. And, you know, the next game, I think, is going to be one of those that's going to go 94 feet from beginning to end.
Smith made the first. Southwest Texas State in the stands watching this game. Game tonight between Texas and Western Kentucky, the final game here in Wichita today between 2 teams that like to press and run. And that could easily threaten the 100-point mark.
Sometimes you would think that, but I don't think it will, Sean, because, you know, both those teams are so aggressive with their style of play. We may see a lot of turnovers in that game and keep the score in the 70s.
Speaking of turnovers, that's another one committed by Charlie Spoonhour's club. Maryland by 8, and with the ball with 16:53 remaining. Wayne Simpkins, the sophomore point guard, backed up Kevin McClendon last year as a highly recruited player out of DeMatha High School, and Simpkins admitted there were times when he thought about leaving Maryland. Wasn't getting along with Gary Williams, wasn't particularly happy about the lack of playing time. Booth scores along the baseline, and the Terps have pushed the lead back to 10.
They've done it by getting the ball inside and dominating the paint area. They want to get the ball in the hands of their best scorers down low. Get it in the hands of Hipp, Rhodes, and even Joe Smith and get the high percentage shots.
Nice pass by H. Waldman, and Donnie Dobbs had the easy part.
Donnie Dobbs moving without the basketball, not allowing the Maryland defense a chance to get set, and able to clear out enough room to get the ball to go in.
St. Louis, you saw Dobbs lay it in. The Billikens only have 4 slam dunks as a team all year. Only 4 dunks. Dobbs has 2 of them. Smith, no basket. He's called for a charge. Robinson stepped in to pick up the foul on Joe Smith. First foul on Smith. Will return to Wichita, Kansas in just a moment.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the first round of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Oldsmobile, AT&T, and by Midas. The Women's Final Four coming soon on CBS.
Well, it's that time of year again. So many games to watch. Hey, wait a minute. You might actually learn something. No, really. Did you know you can buy an Achieva Special Edition from Oldsmobile with anti-lock brakes, airbag, air, automatic, and more for just $13,995? So, to learn anything? It's your money.
If another company is promising your business big savings compared to AT&T, compare our best price to theirs. You may discover those big savings are just an illusion. Leaving AT&T doesn't make a lot of sense. Imagine this is your phone line. If a network cable cut blocks your calls, AT&T's FastStar reroutes them in minutes so your calls get through and your business stays on track. One more reason AT&T is the best in the business.
Chances are it will outlast your car, and your furnace, and your roof. There's no telling what your Moen faucet might outlast. Moen. Buy it for looks. Buy it for life.
You move like synchronized swimmers when you're asleep. But when it's time to wake up, you stop moving altogether. Just add water to Coast Soap for a motion potion that'll put you back in the swim. Coast, the eye-opener.
The Monday night game of a lifetime. The game you'll never forget. Will Evening Shade finally win one?
Look, if you're wearing that for luck, I'd rather lose.
Then, is Dave too old to coach soccer?
Don't wear those shirts. You look like a real dork.
Or just too hip?
What are they doing? A footwork drill. It looks like the Hokey Pokey.
Dave's World, right after Evening Shade, Monday.
St. Louis is getting back in this game by playing good defense. What appears to be a 2-3 zone by St. Louis. It's an attempt to disguise it as a 1-1-3, and once the ball goes inside, you see 2 defenders there and Joe Smith with the ball. Get it inside, collapse on him. You're going to force the big guy to make a decision and turn the ball over.
That was the first foul called against Smith. Charlie Spoonhour uses a 1-1-3 zone defense. You don't hear about that very often.
No, you don't, because it makes for a lot of work for the second man on that 1-1 to be able to get back and cover both ends of the free throw line.
Both teams shooting well in the second half, particularly Maryland, which has made its last 5 shots, including the final shot in the first half. The Terrapins lead by 8. St. Louis with the ball. 15-20 remaining. Highmark, the one-hand shot. Too strong off the glass. Again, Simpkins looked to push.
St. Louis appears to be getting better looks at the basket this second half. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to put the ball in the basket.
Smith, the inside-out game for Maryland, and it works to perfection as Hip knocks in a 3.
That's another area of Joe Smith's game that improved during the season. Gary Williams said he's making better decisions about when the defense collapses, pitching it back out and moving without the ball.
Maryland by 11. The largest lead was 15 in the first half. Highmark open for 3.
Excellent pass by Ace Waldman to Highmark coming around the double screen. The defender, it appeared Johnny Rhodes, fell down and was unable to get out and cover.
Highmark, a second-team All-Great Midwest Conference selection this year. And a foul called. against St. Louis.
Going to take a look at that inside-outside game you were talking about. Exree Hipp has the ball, passes it inside. Two defenders are going to collapse around him because he can shoot the ball so well. He pitches it back out to Exree Hipp, who's able to hit that outside jumper.
And the last foul was on H. Waldman, his second. Johnny Rhodes back in for Maryland with 3 fouls. Wake Forest, after falling behind by 12 early, has taken the lead from the college in Charleston, which enters the tournament, having won 16 straight. These two teams both entered the tournament on a slide. And Maryland leads this one by 8.
St. Louis still in that 1-1-3. The problem with this style defense is that getting assignments to block out. You might see Maryland come up with a few extra loose balls and also some offensive stickbacks.
Boom. Acrobatic move. Didn't get the shot to drop. Out of bounds. Maryland will keep it.
Also, you have to minimize the penetration, the dribble penetration by the guards.
Bristol very nearly traveled out of bounds along the end line as he inbounded. Smith sent it out of bounds off Scott Highmark.
Excellent hustle by the 6'10" Joe Smith to dive on the floor after the ball and keep the ball in his possession. Look at this big guy. He's going to pick the ball up after it's deflected by St. Louis and actually go to the floor, look for a defender, and throws it off of St. Louis Billiken and keep possession for Maryland.
Charlie Spoonhour a little bit upset that they reset the shot clock to 35. And now John Cal, the official, has summoned both coaches to midcourt to solve the problem. Frank Scagliotta is the standby official, who is also in the conversation.
The question is, was the possession changed? Did the ball go into the hands of St. Louis long enough to be counted as a possession?
Smith was on the floor for a while, rolled around, and then flipped it out of bounds off Highmark. So if Maryland's going to keep it, they should have time ticked off the 35-second clock, and they took 2 seconds off. Maryland with the ball, up by 8. Under 14 minutes remaining here in Wichita.
Sometimes it doesn't take very much to make a coach happy, does it? Take 2 seconds off the shot clock?
And Gary Williams not at all happy with Wayne Simpkins about that pass that forced to travel by Johnny Rhodes. 17 Maryland turnovers, but they are surviving them. Just underway in the second half in Uniondale, New York. Riders battled Connecticut from the beginning. That's an excellent Rider team for Coach Kevin Bannon, the champions of the Northeast Conference. H. Waldman. Rebounded by Dobbs, knocked out of bounds off the hands of Dobbs. Maryland ball.
Donnie Dobbs is a very good rebounder at 6'3", averaging 16.6 rebounds a game from the power forward position.
H. Waldman goes to the bench. Carl Turner's back in for St. Louis. On the floor for Maryland, it's Simpkins with the ball, along with Rhodes in the backcourt. Booth, Smith, and Hipp. The starting 5 is on the floor for Maryland. Nice pass, Smith to Booth.
Excellent job from the high post. Get it down to the low post for the easy high percentage shot. Joe Smith has been attracting a lot of attention when he gets the ball in his hands.
Less than 13 minutes remaining. St. Louis trails by 10. Claggett. Got it deflected out of bounds by Keith Booth.
Take a look at the passing by Joe Smith. Gets the ball on the high post. He keeps the ball up high. That's the key to this play. You'll see a lot of big young players put the ball down around their waist. Joe Smith keeps it away from the defensive traffic.
You mentioned about Coach Williams talking about his ability to recognize the double teams and get the ball to the right man. He's done that beautifully today.
He sure has. Donnie Dobbs does not need to be taking that shot from the outside, and the reason is it takes him out of rebounding position. St. Louis is not a very good rebounding team. Dobbs has to stay in the low post.
Tight man-to-man as Claggett guards Simpkins. They lob it into Booth. Count the basket, and Keith Booth will have a chance for a three-point play.
Very strong move by the freshman Keith Booth to receive the ball in the low post with this lock. He's locking the defender. The lob comes over the top, and he's going to put it on the floor to get his balance, but also he absorbs the contact by the defense and able to get that ball to go in, but it's excellent concentration.
Foul was on Carl Turner, his third. Booth, who averages 10 points per game, has 10. The St. Louis has to do a better job of denying the ball inside. Once it gets inside, they might as well forget about it. Maryland's just too strong in there.
Well, they can either score, Maryland's going to score or get to the free throw line, which is, not what St. Louis wants. And you're right, Sean, they have to do a better job on the perimeter, not allowing the passer to be able to make that initial pass.
Claggett, an excellent pass. Dobbs with the score for the Billikens.
That's where Donnie Dobbs needs to be, down in the block where he can use his body to gain enough advantage to be able to get that shot off.
Booth, guarded by Robinson.
Maryland has not proven that they're able to make the shot from three-point range, so why don't you just back off of him?
Smith fired up an air ball. He missed a shot. They ought to stop the game and see if there's something wrong. Look at Claggett. He's about to lose his shorts.
That's the style nowadays. These guys wear their shorts down low.
It's going to be a very revealing style if he's not careful. He banks in a three. Erwin Claggett has 12 points on 4 3-pointers.
That's his third three-pointer this half. He's come out with his gun loaded, but he still needs to work a little bit harder, I think, to get open to get the basketball, to try to get the Billikens back in this game.
Maryland by 8. Rhodes, the good catch. Picked it out to Simpkins. Missed the three. And the rebound by Rhodes, the top rebounding guard in the ACC. He averages nearly 7 a game from his guard position. That gives Maryland a 10-point advantage.
And that's the problem we talked about with the 1-3-3 zone defense. You don't have a real assignment to be able to block someone out. St. Louis is unable to get over and block out a guy like Johnny Rhodes, who's a good slasher to the offensive glass.
Williams says if Johnny Rhodes can improve his shot a little bit from the outside, he'll play in the NBA. Highmark missed the layup. And unfortunately for St. Louis, Smith lost it out of bounds off his leg. Maryland by 10. 10.5 minutes remaining in Wichita.
Dear car owners, if you had a brake problem tomorrow, could you think of one brake specialist to go to? Where can you go for same-day brake service? A guarantee on brake shoes and pads for as long as you own your car. And the expertise of doing over 2 million brake jobs a year? Midas.
Think of us as the brake specialists. We're pretty good at mufflers, too.
If you ask us, this thing could come down to a contest between the Wildcats and State. Unless, of course, Western slam dunk Central. In which case, it'll be Eastern versus Southern. Got it? No? Then let's try something easier, like equipping an 88 Special Edition. Because we've already loaded it with what you want and priced it to be a real value. So you just need to pick a color. Well, we can't do everything. It's your money.
Got a minute, we gotta talk. You're canceled.
How do you get canceled out of a commercial?
You're not getting the ratings, Chevy. I like this stuff. Well, keep the bag, Chev. You're a sport. You look great.
Tough year. Good chip.
Doritos Tortilla Thins. Everything else is just a chip.
There's one in Portland, Maine. And one in Portland, Oregon. Chances are, though, you live someplace else in America. So we put one there, too. Cellular One. Clear across America.
He's tired of the crime. And when they come after his family...
Daddy, kill us both.
He's tired of playing by the rules. Steven Seagal, Marked for Death Tuesday, contains some violent scenes.
A look at the Nike game summary shows that St. Louis has picked up its shooting, but the Billikens can't stop Maryland when they're on defense. St. Louis missed its first 7 3-point shots. They're 6 for 10 since, and Joe Smith finally missed a shot from the floor. He has 19 points and 10 rebounds. Those are his averages per game for the year. Carl Turner off the inbound play, got an open 3, Dobbs the rebound, missed a short one, Dobbs again, missed another short one, Smith the rebound.
St. Louis has had a couple of point-blank opportunities and failed to get those balls to go in the basket. They have to take advantage of that because of the shot-blocking ability by Maryland.
Turner deflected the pass out of bounds. Coach Charlie Spoonhour, a tremendous St. Louis Cardinal fan. Some of the Billiken fans enjoying St. Patrick's Day here.
The green spoons. Boom ball.
The green spoons on, but they're not too happy as Maryland scores inside again.
Another offensive rebound by Maryland because of the 1-1-2, 1-1-3 defense being played by St. Louis and not having the proper assignments to block out.
Smith has 21 points. Maryland leads by 12. Less than 10 minutes remaining. Claggett went right by Rhodes. The rest of the defense was asleep for Maryland, and Claggett has 14. That's his first 2-point field goal.
Well, Erwin Claggett is such a quick ball player when he's got the ball in his hands, and one head fake can get just about any defender up in the air because you always think that he's going to shoot the three.
Wilkins had trouble with the dribble right in front of the Maryland bench, down to 15 seconds on the shot clock for the Terps. Shot clock under 10. It's at 5 as Rose shoots and scores.
Now that's exactly what Gary Williams would like, because his team used the clock, great clock management, to be able to get a high percentage shot inside the free throw line.
Gary Williams in that familiar crouch. He must have the strongest legs in college basketball coaching. He said he doesn't know what he's going to do because he can't coach if he doesn't crouch, and his left knee is really starting to bother him. He's not sure how many more years or even games he can go in that crouch. That's why he went to the knee, because that left knee bothers him when he's in the crouch. But you look at the cover of the Maryland media guide, and as you might expect, it's Gary Williams in a crouch.
In a crouch. Hey, Joe Smith proved that he is human. Just picked up his second personal foul. We saw him with an air ball a few minutes ago. That's the only thing that he's really done wrong, but he gets caught up in the air this time and actually goes over the back, over the head of David Robinson.
2 fouls on Maryland this half, 2 fouls in the game on Smith. And David Robinson is the free throw shooter for St. Louis. He's in his first year at SLU as a junior college transfer from Indian Hills. The native of Rock Island, Illinois. He's added interior scoring and rebounding to the Billikens this year. Williams back in the familiar crouch as Robinson made 2. I mean, that's going to be tough to be in that position for almost the entire game.
Well, as you get a little bit older, it is always more difficult to continue to do that, and Coach Williams feels like that is his style. That's what he needs to do to feel comfortable, and coaches are very, very superstitious with their approach to games. I don't care if it's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever it is. Very superstitious.
Gary Williams, 49 years old. Taking his 3rd team to the tournament with Maryland here. Rose missed a short one, then might have gotten away with his 4th foul as he went over the back.
Erwin Claggett is, you're right, Sean. He's about to lose his pants.
Turner tried to kick it out to Claggett. Deflected out of bounds by Maryland. St. Louis will play it in with 8:21 left. They're down by 10. Gary Williams did not realize the severity of the situation in Maryland when he left Ohio State to return to his alma mater. He said, I knew they were under investigation, but I didn't know all of the fallout from the Len Bias death, the subsequent scrutiny of the Maryland athletic program, the academic upheaval on campus. And it's really just now that the Maryland basketball program is turning the corner for the first time since the tragic death of Len Bias in 1986. Booth commits the foul.
Gary Williams has done a tremendous job of recruiting, and he's gone out not only in the immediate Maryland area, but also gone to Dunbar to get Keith Booth, Baltimore Dunbar, to be able to get back into that market and do some great recruiting. It's been 15 years since a Baltimore player has gone to the University of Maryland.
Ernie Graham, the last Baltimore Dunbar player to go to Maryland. It was the late 70s, and a lot of bad blood between the Dunbar program there, the people in Baltimore, and the Maryland program. And he said it took a lot of guts on the part of Keith Booth to decide to go to Maryland because he got some heat from friends back home. Why are you going to Maryland? Booth committed his 3rd foul. Dobbs missed the first of 2. Second one rattled in. St. Louis has cut the deficit to single digits. They're down 9 with 8:07 remaining. Sean McDonough with Derek Dickey in Wichita, Kansas. First round action in the Midwest region. Maryland the 10 seed. St. Louis the 7 seed. But Maryland was a slight favorite to win this game. Smith Nothing slight about the slam dunk.
Excellent pass by Dwayne Simpkins to be able to get the penetration inside, just enough to draw the traffic, draw the defense.
And you had a look at Andy Geiger a moment ago, the Maryland Athletics Director, looking on nervously. There's Andy Geiger, still quite tense. This team has an 11-point lead. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Women's Final Four coming soon on CBS.
Every day in 34 countries and over 300 cities, Delta Airlines takes off to the world of facts and figures, budgets, and bottom lines. And when the job is done, we bring you back to the world of mommies and daddies, boyfriends, girlfriends, and best friends. Delta Airlines.
Hello. So, what'd you think of that Bonneville? Did you drive it?
Oh, that SSCI is terrific.
Yeah.
Supercharged, traction control, ABS, dual airbags, leather. What a car.
I told you.
And you were right. It's thousands less than the BMW or the Lexus.
Well?
I'm picking it up tomorrow. I owe you one, pal.
Okay. I'll take a white one.
Citibank has really given us a new sense of self because we have our own identities.
I have a Citibank Visa card, and it does have my photo on it, so I have one less worry.
And not only that, but you can pick what you like. So it doesn't look like a DMV photo.
I don't know why the other credit cards aren't doing the same thing. We need a photo card. The family members can tell us apart.
Call 1-800-CITIBANK and join the many people who rely on the security of not just Visa, Citibank Visa.
What do you need to be the best?
It's not that simple.
It just doesn't happen.
It takes a lot of work.
Discipline, dedication.
There's a lot of things that come into play.
You have to push yourself.
Day after day.
3,000 sit-ups.
30,000 shots.
Fly balls are extra batting practice.
And that's what it takes.
You get better and better.
When you cross the finish line.
It's a great feeling.
Home plate, that's it.
The victory lap.
It was such a dream.
That was the ultimate. Starter. What do you need to be the best? Everything you got. It's up to you.
You are watching the NCAA Basketball Championship on CBS.
Pat O'Brien and Clark Kellogg here in our New York studios, looking at the games around the country here as March Madness is underway on this first day in the tournament. 62-51 there. Let's go out to the southeast in Charleston, Wake Forest. And the surprise, Clark, Wake Forest in the white jerseys, Charleston in the red.
Charleston really seizing control of this game, Pat. They've made 4 of 7 three-point field goals. Wake is 1 of 8 from behind the arc. And Trelawney Owens, the second leading scorer for Wake Forest, has yet to make a field goal, 0 of 8 to this point.
Could we be looking at the first upset of the tournament?
Again, I talked about mayhem in the middle, and to me it wouldn't be an upset. The only reason it would be is because Charleston, the College of Charleston, is a lower seed than Wake Forest.
Mayhem in the middle also spells parity. Let's go out to the East region in Long Island, Ryder and UConn, and Ryder's been hanging in there.
Well, I talked about the first 8 minutes of the second half being key. Ryder has withstood a couple of blows from UConn, but they've got 2 key guys in foul trouble, 2 of their starters, and UConn is a team that I like to say has spurt ability. They can put together 6, 8-point runs in a hurry.
And can they withstand a third or fourth blow, do you think? 11:32 left in the ballgame.
No, if another blow comes, it'll knock Ryder out.
We'll keep our eye on that, the entire tournament, as March Madness is underway here on CBS. Back to Midwest, 62-53. Sean McDonough and Derek Dickey at courtside. Joe Smith for Maryland. Short with the pull-up. This is his second missed field goal attempt of the ballgame. St. Louis with the ball, down by 9. They trailed by as many as 15. Scott Highmark missed a 3. Claggett high in the air at 6'1" to get the rebound.
Excellent job on the defensive glass by St. Louis, not allow Maryland a second shot, and now on the offensive glass to keep possession of the basketball.
Dobbs, the easy 2.
Paul Turner with a nice entry pass.
And Gary Williams doesn't want to let the Billikens get any closer. St. Louis within 7. 6:46 remaining here in Wichita.
Gentlemen, our attempts to stop the Energizer Bunny have failed. We've got to get his battery. And to do it, we need somebody big.
Big?
Big. It's the end of the road, Mr. Energizer Bunny.
This is a Gold MasterCard, okay? Sure, it's got a credit line of at least $5,000, but it won't settle any unresolved issues from your childhood. Well, maybe it could. I mean, no gold card is more accepted on the planet, so you can take your parents to dinner practically anywhere and say, Mom, Dad, you raised me. I owe you a steak. And it might be smart to buy them a grandfather clock to replace the one you demolished when you were 8. And if this one gets broken, the Master Purchase Plan can replace it. So, I guess a Gold MasterCard could resolve some childhood issues. Wow, Gold MasterCard. It's more than a gold card. It's smart money.
The powerful, all-aluminum alloy engine in the Lexus ES is so incredibly quiet. You can hear the cliché.
It's the dawn of a new generation. The new generation of clean gasoline. A breakthrough in technology from Texaco that can clean up over time what came before. An advanced system of engine cleaning in every octane drain for the highest performance, lower emissions, and improved mileage. Texaco introduces the gasoline that's changing what gasoline can do. New Clean System 3. Give us 60 days and watch what can happen.
Tonight, laugh along with Sally Field, Carly Simon, and Robert Duvall.
Spouses who overspend on the next Dave. St. Louis is as close as it has been in 10 minutes. The Billikens back within 7. 6:40 remaining here in Wichita, Kansas. Site of first-round action in the Midwest region. The winner of this game meets the winner of Massachusetts and Southwest Texas State. Smith gets it to bounce in.
So Smith getting the kind roll, but he's also now starting to be more aggressive offensively and look for that shot. 10 feet and in, he is able to put it in the basket.
25 points for Smith. College of Charleston looking for its 17th straight win. And justifying their selection as an at-large team by the NCAA Tournament Committee as a 12 seed. Dobbs scores off glass. 6 minutes remaining. St. Louis back within 7.
Excellent job by the 6'3" Donnie Dobbs to be able to move out enough space to be able to get that shot down, getting his 14th and 15 points in the low post area.
6-point lead for Connecticut over Riders, the largest margin that we have seen when that score has been flashed as Riders battled themselves throughout, led for much of the first half. Keith Booth turned it over. Gary Williams going bananas on the Maryland bench, as you saw Charlie Spoonhour and Gary trying to compose himself, shutting his eyes and taking a deep breath as he followed out the defensive instructions.
Well, Gary Williams said he also had a concern being with his young players that sometimes you don't know how to read them, if they're going to be able to respond when a team comes back at them. How do they act under pressure? How do they act when they're ahead?
Maryland's ahead by 7, approaching 5 minutes remaining. 10 on the shot clock for St. Louis. Robinson, strong drive for the layup.
Nice job by David Robinson out of Rock Island, Illinois. Able to put the ball on the floor and go right by the defense for the easy finger roll.
St. Louis trailed by 15 in the first half. They made a late run to get it to 5 points at the break. And they're making a run here in the final 5 minutes. They're back within 5.
Billikens have to concentrate on defense and defensive rebounding right now. Do not allow Maryland to get a second shot opportunity.
Smith with 10 on the shot clock. It bounced off the rim. Rhodes, a huge rebound.
Huge rebound indeed. Now that Maryland Terrapins get the chance to use the clock again and also work to get the ball down to their go-to guy in Joe Smith.
Rhodes long with the 3. Booth kept it alive. Controlled by St. Louis. Dobbs had it in the corner. St. Louis trails by 5. In the lane, Claggett. Tough shot
starting to heat up. Likes the challenge, wants to take the ball to the basket, take these Billikens on his shoulders.
And a careless foul by Turner in the backcourt. Nearly 80 feet from the basket, he fouled Simpkins.
Watch Erwin Claggett. He's going to wait for Johnny Rhodes to actually get on him and cross over, get into the middle, trying to draw the foul, but is still able to concentrate, focus, and put the ball in. Charlie Spoonhour likes that play. We need some more of those.
Under 4 minutes remaining. Maryland with the ball, up by 3. The foul on Turner was his 4th, the 5th against the Billikens of the half. Rhodes. That's a two-pointer.
Nice play by Maryland to be able to work some patience, get the ball down into a set play in the half court.
And Charlie Spoonhour calls timeout. He was going to get the free TV timeout on the next whistle, but he did not want to wait. We'll be back in just a moment.
Final call.
We've got to move fast, Kirby. I hope you booked Hertz.
Not exactly, but this company's fast.
Fast as Hertz' #1 club goal?
Not exactly, but they do have a special place to pick up the car. Like Hertz? Not exactly, but it'll be waiting.
Under a canopy? With the keys in it?
Not exactly.
And protected from the weather?
Not exactly.
In Rent-A-Car, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. Make sure you choose the right one.
Counting on that promotion, Kirby?
No, not exactly.
You can see it on his face. He has run the human race.
You can see when a man has the best shave. He uses Gillette Sensor.
See the spirit, see the pride that comes from deep inside.
He adds Gillette Shaving Gel, the best gel ever, and Gillette Aftershave Skin Conditioner for maximum comfort. Together with Sensor, there's no better shave in the world.
Ignition?
Check.
Tachometer?
Check.
Anti-lock brakes?
Check.
Air conditioning?
Check.
Dual airbags?
Check. Check.
Cruise control?
Check.
Power sunroof?
Check.
7-speaker stereo?
Check, 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 check.
The Prelude VTEC from Honda. Check it out.
Welcome to Accent on Mobile. Monday, Clint Eastman is Fistillarian Sudden Impact. He is just as soon to shoot you as look at the drop of a hat. Contains some violent scenes. Parental suggestions devised.
Maryland leads by 5, each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Fouls not yet a factor. Neither team in the bonus. The arrow points to the Billikens.
St. Louis has to get the ball in bounds.
Which they did to Claggett. Then he was double teamed and turned it over. The steal by Exree Hip.
The press and trap becomes effective when you get an offensive man to turn his back.
Maryland with the ball up by 5.
The 13th turnover by St. Louis. Maryland has 18 turnovers on the afternoon.
15 on the shot clock. 3:08 left in the game. Booth trying to shed Dobbs.
Might have gotten away with a walk.
5 seconds on the clock. Maryland needs a shot. Simpkins into the lane. Hits the pull-up. Great possession for Maryland. They scored with 1 second left on the clock.
Dwayne Simpkins has had a great afternoon just scoring that basket, making his 7th point on the afternoon, but also 11 assists in this game.
Turner, a huge 3 for the Billikens.
Carl Turner is going to have to shoot the ball well from the outside. He is now 1 for 5.
Traveling called against Maryland in the backcourt. Johnny Rhodes can't believe it. Nor can Gary Williams.
The Billikens have a chance to pull within 2.
Or even 1 with a 3-pointer. They're down by 4. 2:25 remaining. Turner returned over. Lefebvre with the travel. He said he was bumped from behind, as did the St. Louis bench, but the officials did not agree. St. Louis, full court man-to-man pressure. Booth guarded by Dobbs. And fouled as he went heading for the bucket by Johnny Dobbs. 3 fouls on Dobbs, senior from Toledo. 16 fouls. Maryland is not yet shooting the 1-and-1. H. Waldman returns. He's been in and out a lot today. Bothered by the flu this week was Waldman. Did not practice 2 days ago. He's been taking fluids intravenously for a couple of days.
Stamina has to be a factor for a kid like H. Waldman.
High mark. Stripped Smith of the ball, but it went out of bounds off St. Louis. 2:06 remaining. Maryland leads by 4. Smith starting to miss after a hot start to the game. High mark on the floor. It's tied up. The arrow points to St. Louis. They haven't been within 2 points since it was 13-11 in the first half. They're down by 4 with the ball. 1:58 left.
Billikens have to take better care of this basketball in this possession, and at absolutely worst, get to the free throw line.
Turner nearly traveled.
Almost went over and back.
You'd expect to see Claggett kick out, but instead they tried to get it into Dobbs, and Turner missed him with the pass. Well, you said it. They needed to take care of the basketball, and again, they did not. 15 turnovers committed by St. Louis.
Just enough pressure by Maryland to force St. Louis to turn their back.
Dobbs has just committed his 4th foul, and that gets Maryland to the free throw line. The 7th-team foul against St. Louis in this half. The free throws obviously will be a factor from here on in. Maryland a 69% free throw shooting team.
Gary Williams is showing an awful lot of confidence in the freshman Keith Booth, allowing him to bring the ball up court just about every possession.
Maryland 11 out of 16 from the line today. Booth is just a 62% free throw shooter for the season. The front end fell off. Rebounded by Robinson. Maryland has led virtually throughout. Led by as many as 15 points. Their lead is 4 with 1:20 remaining. St. Louis with the ball. This is first round action in the Midwest region. Claggett missed a 3. Smith went up for the rebound and was fouled by David Robinson.
Erwin Claggett for St. Louis had an excellent look at the basket. Didn't seem to have his legs underneath him. Just checked back in the game. Wasn't quite in the flow.
The winner of this game gets the winner of the game between the 2 seed in the Midwest, UMass, and Southwest Texas State out of the Southland Conference. Tonight, Michigan takes on Pepperdine, and Texas against Western Kentucky.
Southwest Texas State and UMass is going to be an excellent game, and the winner of this game is going to have their hands full from the winner of that game because such an equalized style. They both play pretty much similar styles of basketball, pressing, running up and down the court, excellent rebounding teams.
Smith, 6 out of 7 from the free throw line now. The lead is 5 for Maryland, 1:13 remaining. Smith has 26 points and 13 rebounds.
Smith shows that he can make free throws under pressure.
6-point game. St. Louis has had its chances to get closer. They've turned it over, missed shots. That string ends with the 2-pointer from the foul line by H. Waldman to pull St. Louis back within 4. They call timeout. 1:01 remaining.
We're ball players and we're okay. We're not fat and lazy like them owners say. In spring we train real hard. Yeah. So we look good on our baseball cards. They're ball players, or so they say. They'd rather be doing as for Ben Gay. If they ain't in shape, they don't care. Just ink the deal to Hawk underwear. We're ball players and we're okay. Get in shape by opening day. Can't believe we're We'll shift your butts to AA, yeah.
East of the Texas Hill Country in Austin, there's a place that just won't let you go home hungry. It's called Threadgill's. And here you might find yourself behind a great big chicken fried steak, a mountain of red beans and rice, or even a microphone. So if you go, bring your appetite for a good time and your Visa card. Because Threadgill's might let you take the stage, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Imagine adhesives so strong they help hold together 100 tons of soaring transportation. Imagine a fabric so bright it lets you see an accident in time to prevent it. Imagine a single disc so powerful it can store everything imaginable and protect it for a lifetime. These products and thousands more that make our lives better exist because the people at 3M imagine.
RCA Home Theater comes with an optimum contrast screen, a blacker blacks, brilliant whites, and a picture so clear and bright, you'll feel like you're really there. Now, get up to $100 back on selected RCA Home Theater televisions.
Marlo Thomas, Mel Harris, and Ali Sheedy.
My dad did unspeakable things to us.
Sisters face their past and expose the ultimate betrayal. Sunday.
The Billikens trailing by 4 with 1 minute and 1 second remaining. Terrapin, a turtle, will unravel the mystery of what exactly a Billiken is, time permitting. We probably will have time with fouls likely down the stretch here. Booth, guarded by Carlos McCauley. And they went for the double team, but McCauley fouled him. The Billiken was designed by a Kansas City artist back in 1908. The design was purchased by the Billiken Company of Chicago, which manufactured the design of the cartoon character as a bank. And it became a national rage for 6 months. Exactly how it came to represent St. Louis University remains a question, but it apparently ties into former SLU football coach John Bender. The team became known as Bender's Billikens in 1911. The nickname has stuck ever since. It is said that Billikens are associated with good luck. So that's a Billiken. Booth missed the front end of the 1-and-1. Rhodes kept it alive. He says it was off the foot of Waldman. St. Louis ball. The official conferred. Gary Williams out of the crouch and then some.
You're going to take a look at this frenzy in the corner. You have to be the judge. Who does the ball go off?
It's off Waldman. Clearly. The officials missed a huge call. No wonder Coach Williams was so upset. Claggett had to be careful along the midcourt line. St. Louis loses the handle. Rhodes another steal. And he missed the layup. Smith is there, as he has been all day, and he was fouled.
St. Louis had another opportunity to get down and try to close this gap, only down by 4 points, and once again turns the ball over. Johnny Rhodes comes away with the steal, and the freshman Joe Smith follows the play, gets an opportunity to get back to the free throw line by his hustle.
Rhodes set the single-season steals record of Maryland earlier this afternoon. None bigger than the one we just executed from Erwin Claggett. 10 team fouls now on St. Louis, so Smith is shooting 2. He made the first. The lead is 5 for Maryland with 36 seconds remaining. Charleston leading Wake Forest by 1. We'll get you to the finish of that game. Smith made 2 free throws here. Maryland leads by 6. 36 seconds remaining. We'll be back in just a moment.
Now, over time, a car can be reborn. Reborn with a breakthrough in technology from Texaco, an advanced system of engine cleaning that now cleans combustion chambers and unlocks a car's potential in every octane grade for the highest performance, lower emissions, and improved mileage Introducing the gasoline that's changing what gasoline can do. New Clean System 3 from Texaco. Give us 60 days and watch what can happen.
One fall, we took out our son's favorite sweater and it didn't fit anymore. I think life insurance is like that. You don't realize how much your life has changed until you take out your policies and sit down with your agent. That's why we have the State Farm Family Insurance Checkup. I can help you see if your coverages are up to date or if you've outgrown them. Then you make the decision. A policy has to fit, just like a sweater.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Three-pointer! Count it! Yeah, don't count it!
Butters.
Oh! It's like rain. It's always coming down.
Just a reminder,
If you don't know, you better ask somebody.
if you're talking basketball, Foot Locker knows exactly where you're coming from. Wherever that is, Foot Locker. Official corporate partner for the NCAA Championships.
Imagine an antiperspirant that keeps a man feeling as fresh as this. It's Ban for Men Clear Antiperspirant. Ban for Men sets up a clear shield against wetness and odor. So feel this fresh with Ban for Men Clear Antiperspirant.
Our barbecue chicken sandwich is a hit. Folks love our tangy honey barbecue sauce.
Russ, $1.49 barbecue chicken sandwich forever.
Not quite. The $1.49 is for a limited time.
We do chicken right.
The Monday night game of a lifetime. The game you'll never forget. Will Evening Shade finally win one?
Look, if you're wearing that for luck, I'd rather lose.
Evening Shade, Monday.
St. Louis, an excellent three-point shooting team, needs a couple of three-pointers as they trail by 6, each team with one timeout remaining. Now, Maryland's only committed 4 fouls, so they want to slow down the play here over the last 36 seconds. They could commit a couple like this, way away from the basket. Maybe that was the strategy called in the timeout by Gary Williams, because now they stop the clock. They make St. Louis inbound again. They've only committed 5 team fouls.
It's a good job. And coaches will argue, do you foul, do you not foul? Because certainly St. Louis can look at the basket and try to get a three-point shot opportunity.
Turner missed from in close. St. Louis has had its chances down the stretch, but they've let this one slip away, it would appear. Another foul committed by the Billikens. Maryland will go to the line. X-ray hip the shooter. And Gary Williams starts to sense a second round game against either Massachusetts or Southwest Texas State. And as we mentioned earlier, should Maryland hang on and win this one, they will continue their record of never having lost in the first round of the NCAA Tournament in 11 appearances. X-ray hip. 69% free throw shooter. Wake Forest has taken the lead from Charleston. Hip made the first. He has 8 points, all of them in the second half. Hip made a pair. Maryland's lead is 8 with 19 seconds left.
St. Louis has had several opportunities. Being a three-point shooting team, you can live by it or you can die by it. Today, they've had problems with making the shots from the outside because Maryland has simply not allowed them to get the shots off.
It's been one of the great seasons in St. Louis history, record-setting attendance at home. It's going to end at 23-6. Highmark missed a 3. Rhodes will run out the time, and the Billikens will let them. They concede defeat. Maryland advances to the second round. The final score, Maryland 74 and St. Louis 66. Maryland will await the winner of the next game here in Wichita. UMass against Southwest Texas State. The Chevrolet players of the game are Joe Smith of Maryland, 27 points, 13 rebounds and a block shot, and Erwin Claggett of St. Louis with 16 points, including 4 out of 7 from three-point range and 3 assists. A check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. Derek, it was a matter of...
And so Maryland and St. Louis, and Maryland the first team to score in the tournament and the first team to advance in the tournament. Your thoughts, Clark?
Well, I think Maryland was able to escape. They actually were trying to drive the car with the parking brake on after they got a lead, but they were able to hold up. Joe Smith had a huge game, made some big shots down the stretch, and then they made free throws down the stretch as well.
Joe Smith having a big day, and that's the kind of name that pops up in a tournament like this where we follow him through the tournament. How good a player is he?
Oh, he's got the whole package. He has the real
deal. Right number, right?
He's a freshman, but he can get it done. Inside, outside, blocking shots, the whole thing.
So Charleston and Wake Forest, 1:28 left in that game now in the Southeast region in Lexington. And Clark, what about this game? Charleston had control of the